Hey folks, this is Ariel Baruch out of Sierra Studio. Today I am with Luis Quintanilla. Luis is a real estate investor, a very successful one. He has been investing in real estate for 7 years. He's been a member of South Jersey Real Estate Investment Association. He made many talks. He's very vocal on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And Luis is not only a real estate investor, he also has his company in New York City. He invests in residential real estate. He invests in commercial real estate. He's also the way he invests, he buy and hold properties and rent them out, and he also buy and sell properties. And recently, he also started developing. Engaged in development projects where he actually built houses. So Luis has a lot of great golden nuggets, a lot of great tips, and today we're gonna have an interview, and we really hope you'll find that very useful. Okay, so Luis, welcome to the studio. And
thank you.
So the first question is, you said you started 7 years ago, but how has been this journey for the last couple of years? I've known you for the last couple of years. You made presentation at South Jersey Real Estate Investment Association, and you shared a lot of good knowledge how people can actually get into real estate so they can start building their wealth. Because really, the goal of investment, like any investment, is really to build wealth, and this is one of the great opportunities where, you know, it makes sense. It makes sense. You can see the numbers behind it, and it works for most people who just want to build their wealth in other ways, not just in stock market, but through real estate. So tell us about your story. How did it go, and where you are today?
So my name is Luis again. I started about 7 years ago, and I started, at first, like, I didn't have a lot of money, which I want to, later on tell the crowd how they can buy real estate with little money, with no money, because that's how I did it. And it is possible. Just takes a lot of more work, but it is possible. So yeah, I started 7 years ago. I started buying pretty much one house at a time, and there's a big difference between 7, 8 years ago than today, because I started buying during the very bottom of the market after the collapse, the 2008 financial collapse. Houses were super, super cheap. They were giving them away. And now it's a different story. Now it's super expensive.
In some areas, right? In some metropolitan areas.
It's expensive, right? It is, but there's still opportunities out there. And I have a really strong feeling that there's going to be more opportunities coming later this year, which we'll get to that. So I just started buying houses. I remember my first house that I bought was about $62,500. It was a brick house. I later sold that house for $98,000, I think, if I remember correctly. With what I made from that house, I bought 2 houses. And
so you use that as a down payment, right? The profit from that transaction.
Right. So that's what I used to do. And then I used to buy houses cheap, fix them up. And then I used to refinance them, and I used to do a cash out refinance. So basically I used to buy a house for cheaper, fix it up, make it worth, another $70,000 more, and then take out my money and then use that as a down payment to buy another property.
So typically you would, when you do your cash out refinance, you would get 75% of the house value back, and most of the time it would cover all your costs. Everything you put into the house, essentially you take out. But now you have the house, you have a real estate, that the tenant that you're going to rent it to will be essentially building up your equity in the property.
Right, exactly. And I actually also want to talk about that, about why you should get into real estate and the many ways that real estate pays you, because people think that real estate only pays you, like it's about collecting the monthly rent, and it's not. It's about so much more than that. If you really want to get deep into real estate, you don't just buy it because you're going to make monthly income. You buy it for many other reasons, which I want to get to, but so that pretty much that was my story. Like, I used to buy houses for really cheap, fix them up, either sell them or refinance them. And then what I also did that helped me out a lot was my primary residence. I bought for about $140,000. I remember back then. It appraised at $265,000.
Wow!
So I got a home equity line of credit for about $65,000, and then I used to use that to buy houses cash, refinance them, like buy them cash, fix them up, refinance, get all my money back out, and just do it all over again and all over again. So I was pretty much buying houses for free with my line of credit.
So let's just unpack this. So your house was estimated $265,000, right? And then you got, so the home equity line of credit you got was essentially up to 75% limit of the value of the house, right?
It was 80% if it's a single family and 75% if it's multifamily.
Okay.
Through my lender, so I got 80%, and it was
Okay.
about 65,000 if I remember correctly. This was about like 6 years ago.
Wow.
And then I was just buying houses with that 65 plus some cash that I had, and
And you learn valuable experience, how to buy a house, how to find a team to fix it, right? Because you know there are so many different aspects of the house. There's a roof, there is walls,
Oh, yeah.
sheetrock, there is a foundation, there is a flooring, there is, you know, all these different aspects.
yeah, in the beginning, I found out the hard way because since in the beginning I didn't have that much money, I was pretty much fixing as much as I could, right? Watching YouTube videos and stuff like that, like painting the house, just doing as much as I could, and then hiring out whenever it was a big issue, like a big plumbing problem, I would have to pay somebody. But if it was something that I could do myself, I just used to do it myself and just spend a whole day just trying to fix up the house. And you know, little by little, by pretty much buying houses for way below their market value, fixing them up and making them be worth a lot more. I started building equity. I started using that equity to buy more properties, and I kept kind of rolling it down, and buying more, little by little, buying more, selling one house, buying two houses, you know, with the proceeds of that house.
So essentially, you were doing forced appreciation.
I was forcing it, yes.
You were buying a house that really needed a lot of help, and then you would bring them to the point where it's like basically sparkling, and the appraiser would appraise it extremely well, and then you would have all that amount of money that they can use as a home equity line of credit to really just use for whatever you want. And you chose to take this money and go buy more properties.
Right. That's exactly what I did. I actually, at the time, I emptied out my 401k. Every money that I had in there, I grabbed it and I just used it to buy real estate, because at that time real estate was cheap. And I always tell everybody, you buy things when they're cheap and you sell them when they're expensive. That's how you make money. So I also have a business in New York City, and all the income from that business, all of it, 100% of the income, because I wasn't even paying myself, I was using it to buy more real estate because it was just cheap back then. And I'm glad I did that, because if fast forward to today, I mean, houses have increased since I started buying like 3-4 times the price.
Wow.
You know, since I started, it's been insane. I mean, this last year alone, this is what I tell people, like, your monthly, the monthly rent that you make, yes, it's good, but there's appreciation, there's equity, you pay down your debt, there's tax advantages. Just in 2020, right? On average, my houses have gone up about 15%.
Wow. So that brings it to the point that actually you know where to buy the properties. So, you know, the properties in the areas where actually, you know, there's a lot of traffic, and, you know, it's kind of popular areas that people interested in.
Yeah. And just to give people an example, let's say a $200,000 house went up by 15%. That's $30,000 in equity. Let's say you have 5 houses. That's $150,000 that you just made in 1 year by doing nothing, just holding your property. That's it. You no work, just leaving the property there as is. You just made $150,000 in equity. So this is what I mean by you make money in different ways in real estate, not just through rental income, but through equity pay down. For example, like I tell a lot of people, every month I become richer. Why? Because my mortgages are paid down, so my debt is decreasing. But if you really think about it, I'm not the one paying my debt. It's my tenants. My tenants are paying down my debt, and I'm becoming wealthier every month because the debt is being paid down by my tenants, not by me. And then I have monthly income left over, and then at the end of the year, all my houses appreciate. Yeah. So that's 3 sources of income right there.
Yeah.
That's why I love real estate.
Yeah, so that's right. So you like any successful entrepreneur, you have multiple streams of income. It's not just rental income. It's there are some other ways to increase your wealth, and like you described, 3 different streams of income.
Yeah, and I think nowadays everybody should have multiple streams of income, because most people, they go to school, they graduate, they get a job, and that's their only source of income. And all the wealthy people that I know, that I've met throughout the years, they never have one source of income. They have many. Real estate, just what I explained to you, that's 3 sources of income right there.
Yeah.
And then your job can be a 4th one. So nowadays, in order to make money and to be, to make it up there, one source of income just isn't enough, because everything is so expensive. You need multiple sources of income. So that's
Yeah.
why I invest so much of my money in real estate.
Well, it definitely paid off, right? So you said in one of your videos, you said you basically self-made millionaire. You became millionaire in 3 years. So tell us what happened after that. After you realized you're a millionaire, like how did you progress from that point on?
To be honest with you, like not much changed.
Is it just rinse and repeat, right? You
Yeah.
do the same thing.
Well, I mean, I come from like a really poor family. Like I came here to this country when I was like 6, 7 years old. I didn't speak any English. Like, you know, we don't come from money. So like, I've always been frugal. Like I never really spent a lot of money. Like even now, even though I can like buy, you know, like really expensive things. Some of my friends ask me, hey, you know, why don't you buy a Lamborghini? I'm like, you know, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, maybe one day, but I would prefer to use that money and buy more real estate. You know, because a Lamborghini today will cost 300,000. Next year will cost 250, but a house that costs 300 today will cost 350 next year. So I just rather invest in, you know, keep buying houses for now. And like I said, like I don't know, nothing changed. To be honest with you, when I was making 100,000 a year, then 300, then your net worth being $1 million. I don't know. To me, nothing changed much. I was still the same person.
So you're just doing it on a larger scale.
I'm just doing it right. I'm just doing more. Exactly. Just buying more houses. Doing commercial deals. Just bigger deals. Like it's more exciting now to buy something that's like $500,000 or $1 million than to buy something that's $100,000. So
yeah, so you have a big investment. You may need to spend more money, but at the same time you'll have a bigger return, right? So essentially you're leveraging that,
right?
To be able to accomplish a bigger deal and bigger financial advantage within the same time frame.
Right. Yeah. So that's why you're like I was telling you, I'm all about real estate. I just, you know, I just love it. So
yeah, and to survive in the real estate, you really need to kind of be in tune with it. And I mean, you do need to like it, because there are days when you realize, oh, I just made like 100,000, and there are days when you realize, oh, I just lost money on something. So tell us more about like learning lessons where you were kind of, you know, maybe you didn't expect and it became a loss. Like, do you have any examples for people who want to get in real estate so they have a kind of realistic expectations from this? Like you said, one of the issue right now is that because of so much money in the system, the prices went up in 2020. So can you give an example of things people need to look out?
Yeah. So the first question that people should be asking themselves is, I mean, I like, why do you want to get into real estate? Don't just get into real estate because, you know, you saw some guy on TV that made millions of dollars. That's not the reason why you should get into real estate. You should get into it because it's something that interests you, something that you like, because you have to enjoy the path, you know, to like building wealth. It's not just making money, because if you only get into real estate or into anything just because you think you're going to make a lot of money, you're probably not, you know, you're going to hate it. So you have to kind of like it. And not everything goes right. Like a lot of people watch HGTV, the flipping channel, and they think that it's so easy to buy a house and fix it up and flip it, and you're gonna make $100,000. That's not real life.
Yeah, and this just quick comment on this HGTV is that when I watch the channel, it really looks like some prices they say, well, this will only cost you like 10,000. What I found is that when you want to work at that professional level and do the kind of things they do on TV, it will cost more money, especially if you don't have a crew. I mean, if you assemble crew around yourself, people who do roof, walls, you know, remodeling, moving walls, kitchens, you know, matching colors. If you have team around you, then yeah, you can probably be in those budgets. But what I found is that for people who kind of new to this, for them it will take some time to really get down to that level. I mean, it may cost a lot more money than they see on TV.
Yeah, definitely. Like, TV makes it seem so easy, and it's not that easy in real life. It's not like all glamorous. It's difficult. You know, once so like you like you said, you're gonna need a team. You're going to need contractors. You're going to need a plumber. You're going to need an electrician. You're going to need a roofing guy. And there has been jobs where like they come in, they start doing the work. You give them, you know, like 20% to start, and then they disappear on you. You never see them again. You know, so these things happen to people.
Yeah.
And I have friends that have given them large payments, like 50%, to start the job.
Eh,
They'll do 1 day of work, they
And then
disappear, they never come back again, and then you lost a bunch of your money, and now you have to pay somebody else to do that work, and now you're negative. Now you might not make any money. You might actually lose money. So these things happen, and they happen very often, more often than people think. So you have to be very careful when you vet people, your contractors, your plumbers, people like that. It's really, I think that's probably one of the most difficult aspects of real estate, is to have a proper team, especially contractors. It's so difficult to find good contractors that are responsible and that are actually going to do the work well on time, and not rip you off or not disappear with your money.
so specifically to New Jersey, did you use some recommendations from associations, like for example, South Jersey Real Estate Investment Association?
Very good question, actually. Yes, one of the reasons why I actually joined an investment group, which I recommend everybody does, because you're going to meet real estate agents. Not every real estate agent is investment friendly, which is another big problem. Most of them are just like, they know very little. They don't know what a return on investment is. They don't know what a cap rate is, and you need somebody who knows these things. So you'll meet real estate agents that are investor friendly. You'll meet contractors there that are good. You'll meet investors there that can recommend contractors. That's how I got. I work with a group of contractors now for years, really good people, and I keep them always busy. But I got them through another investor. He was like, "Hey, look, these guys are really good. They've worked with me for a while now." So I got them, I started using them, and now I kept them for a long time. You'll meet insurance, you'll meet brokers, mortgage guys, people that are really good, and they come recommended from other people. So it's good to join these like real estate investment groups.
Yeah, and so here in New Jersey, South Jersey Real Estate Investment Association. You can look it up you can just Google it. But what about New York? I know you moved from New York. That was my another question. What drove you to move from New York? But in terms of New York, like what associations are there if somebody from New York is watching?
Same thing. You can just Google like New York RIAs. So real estate associations, and they have them everywhere, in every country, in every state, in every county, in every city, in every town. They have them everywhere.
So now we kind of segue into kind of logical step. So how like what caused you recently to kind of consider moving to New Jersey? Central, I guess it's a central New Jersey, more like a South Jersey. So like, can you give us kind of background and why you? I know you've been talking about this previously, but like you actually did it. So, and you kind of started here, right? 2 years ago when we were talking, you said you were buying a lot of properties in like Lawrenceville, for example. So you kind of came back where you started. So tell us more about it.
So I decided to leave New York because it's super expensive over there. Rents, the cost of living, taxes, and you can't buy any investment properties there. Unless you're willing to pay $2 million for a duplex, which has negative cash flow. So since I started buying more properties here in Jersey and central New Jersey, I decided, you know what, it'll be a lot easier if I just move here, and I don't have to come here only on weekends. At last minute, I can just go see any house and I'll be close, I'll be nearby.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I came. Also, like, the cost of living is cheaper here. Everything's more affordable, and I just thought that I could progress and buy more properties at a faster rate. And it has helped out. So yeah, I'm glad I came here.
Okay, that's great. So this progress for the last several years, where you feel like you're a millionaire, you're doing it on a larger scale. So tell us more about construction projects that you recently started doing.
Yeah. So because right now it's so hard to find deals, like I was telling, everything I did was 2012, 2013, when houses were cheap. Anybody can find a deal there. Now, like, you really need to be good. I think people need to be careful right now, because prices have gone up so much because of supply and demand. So there's a big imbalance, right? There's a lot of demand for housing and there's very little supply. And what does that do? That causes house prices to go up naturally. Also, interest rates are super low. And what does that do? That causes house prices to go up even more. So that's the problem we're having right now. So right now, just be very careful. There are still deals out there, but you just have to, I guess back in the day, for every 5 deals that I saw, I bought one. Now it's for every 100 deals that I see, I maybe will buy one. That's how difficult it is right now. So just be very careful, when shopping for real estate. But again, not impossible, just hard. And I think that
And obviously, you talk about investment deals, not somebody who's looking for like their primary residence, but more like
right, investment.
property where we can really have positive cash flow, and you can really do something that you did years back when you bought it for less, and then you fixed it and you invested money in it, and then you had enough buffer to have home equity line of credit where you can take this money and go buy more properties.
And I believe there's going to be opportunities that are coming. And this is just my personal opinion. I spend half the day reading articles and talking to other investors and people that have, more properties than I do. And I think that Q3 and Q4 of this year, we're going to start seeing more supply hit the market because the forbearance period is going to be over for pretty much everyone. And that's going to cause a lot of people that wanted to sell, to put their houses for sale. That's going to cause a lot of tired landlords, and there is a bunch of tired landlords because of the eviction moratoriums. It's going to cause them to sell. It's going to cause people that are maybe tight on money to sell their property because they have equity right now, and instead of going through foreclosure or a short sale, they're going to just sell. So when that happens, there's going to be a balance, a normalization of supply and demand, and that's going to cause prices not to crash, but to correct. So we'll be seeing basically house prices becoming normal again. And I think that that's when there's going to be a lot of deals because, desperate landlords are going to sell. So you might see some good deals start popping up towards the end of the year. And I think people should start getting ready for that. Maybe start saving up some money, work on your credit so that you can take advantage of these deals that are going to come up, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm pretty much going to buy as much houses as I can, because it's going to be a short window, I think. That house prices are going to fall. I think, the end of this year, all the way up to maybe like the middle of 2022. And then they're going to start going back up for many reasons. Inflation, maybe there might be a $15,000 credit from Biden, and that's just going to cause, again, a supply and demand imbalance. So there's going to be a short window, and I think people should take advantage of that.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting information. So tell us just a little bit more about the construction projects you're doing. You mentioned before we started this interview. So can you go a little bit more in depth, and like for somebody maybe who kind of gave up on finding a house, maybe they even considering at this point just building a house, like what would be your advice, and tell us more about your projects.
So I'm starting to build brand new houses because of the fact that I can't find anything to buy that makes sense. Everything is so expensive. So I'm buying in Texas. I'm buying land. Actually, I'm in the process of closing on a piece of land, hopefully by the end of next week. And we're going to start building houses, brand new construction. And my idea is that just, buy land, build houses, and then sell it. And eventually what I want to do is build 20, 30, 40, 50 houses all next to each other, like a small community, and then rent out the whole thing. So build to rent kind of thing. And rent everything out and then just refinance it and take my cash out and just do it all over again. So I want to build to rent, and I also want to build to sell. And that's what I'm currently working on right now. And I will document everything online on my YouTube channel, Instagram. And it's good. It's exciting. I like it. And it's, the funny thing is that I thought it was going to be super expensive, and it's actually cheaper to build a brand new construction house from the ground up than it is to buy an existing property and like rehab everything. At least right now it is, because of the insane prices.
So do you feel like you have easier access to the labor force, people who know how to build houses in Texas versus, let's say, New Jersey?
Yes, I am teaming up with a friend from New York that moved to Texas a few years ago, and he does the same thing I do. And he's actually building houses as well. And we're just going to do it together. I'm going to provide all the money. So we're not really using banks. We're just using my money. So I'm being the bank in this case, and he's going to do all the labor. And so we're teaming up together, and he has all the guys. He has the construction guys. He has a foundation guys. He has a framing guys, roof, plumber, engineer, like everything. And we're going to just join forces and start building.
That's great. And like this kind of reiterates the fact that really people who are interested in real estate, they need to join one of the real estate investment association groups to kind of get familiar with like who can they use? Like for example, in South Jersey, RIA, South Jersey Real Estate Investment Association has a listserv, essentially kind of list that they send out information about, all sorts of different topics. And some of them is, hey, where can I get the good plumber? Where can I get a referral for roofer? Where can I get a referral for somebody else? So it's really critical, because there are, like Luis said, there are so many companies that, they out there, they'll come, they will say they can do the work, but then, in many circumstances, people ended up paying money for something that was not delivered, or was a poor job and was never fixed, and then the service provider disappeared. So it's extremely important to get those recommendations and really build that team around you if you have interest in real estate. And the starting point would be Real Estate Investment Association. Again, I'm not trying to kind of promote one versus the other, but definitely it's a big help for anybody who is interested in real estate.
Yes, and I want to give a few golden nuggets to people. If you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Since I was talking about like opportunities coming up, the end of this year, people that want to get into real estate. So there's many ways to get into real estate, right? And not everybody has capital. Like not everybody has money to buy a house. Not everybody has 20% down payment. Mm-hmm. Many people can start with a 3.5% FHA loan. So if, let's say, for example, you're looking to buy a $200,000 house, you only need what, $7,000, right? Yeah, $7,000 would be your down payment. Mm-hmm. And I suggest people start with a duplex, so that you live in one side, you rent out the other side. That side that you rent out can pay for most of your mortgage. Maybe you'll have to pay $300, $200 out of pocket. Mm-hmm. But who doesn't want to live in a house where you're paying $200 a month for your own house? So that's Absolutely. One way to get into real estate, right? If you have a little bit of money. Another way, if you have a little bit of money, is maybe get a group of friends, like 3-4 friends. Everybody mm-hmm. puts in $5,000-$6,000. You buy a house and you flip it. And then the proceeds, right, that you make by flipping that house, you split it between all of you. And then you grab it and you do it again and you do it again. Mm-hmm. That's another way people can start to have very little capital. Now, if you have absolutely no money at all, you can also start in real estate. You are just going to have to work like twice as hard, but it's possible. You can do it. Mm-hmm. This is what you can do. There's a few things you can do. You can do what's called wholesaling, right? I don't know if people have heard that terminology, but wholesaling is basically, let's say you don't have any money, but let's say you go and you start calling people, you start door knocking, you start going on social media and advertising yourself, you start looking for deals. Say you find a deal, right? Obviously you don't have any money, so you can't buy this deal. You can't buy this property. What you do is you get the property and you sell it to an investor, like somebody like me. Like if anybody out there watching this has any good deals, sell it to me and I'll buy it from you, and you can make a commission. Like let's say you get a property from somebody who wants to just get rid of it. It's in bad shape. They don't have money to fix it up, and they want to get rid of it for $100,000. And you know that property is worth $175,000, right? Mm-hmm. If it was fixed up, you'll sell it to me for $110,000. So you make $10,000. You don't have to buy the property. You don't have to take title. You don't have to do anything. Mm-hmm. All you have to do is find the deal and bring it to me, and I'll buy it. And you make a quick $10,000, and I'll do the rehab. I'll do the construction. All you have to do is bring the deal to me, and that's it. So you can do that if you don't have money. It's free, right? All you need is time. Another thing you can do, Airbnb. And not a lot of people do this. I don't know why. Like, maybe, I don't know. People need to get more creative. Another thing you can do is Airbnb. You can do Airbnb without owning a property. I don't know if people know this. So let's say you come to me. You're one of my tenants, right? And I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. And you tell me, hey, Louis, you know what? I know that this house, I know you're asking $2,000 a month for this house, which is the regular rent. What if I pay you $3,000 a month, but you let me Airbnb this house? I'll be like, oh, wow. You know what? Fine. Go ahead. Now you're Airbnb-ing my house. So you never bought a house. The house doesn't belong to you. It belongs to me. I'm paying the taxes. I'm paying the insurance. You're not paying anything. And you get to Airbnb the house.
So it's just a contract between you, the investor, exactly. and somebody who comes to you and say, hey, I'm interested in essentially managing it, right? Essentially, right. The person would be just managing all these clients who would be renting for a shorter period of time.
Right, exactly. And Airbnb makes a lot of money. And I'm not in the business of doing Airbnb. I'm in the business of being a landlord. Airbnb is a very niche business. So the tenant can do that. And then you can make a lot of money. If you know, and that's another way of like you have to get creative. You know,
Yeah.
another way is you can bird dog, which is basically bringing deals to people for a commission. All you need is time. There are so many ways. You just got to get creative. Those are like three ways right there that if you don't have any money, you can just make money out of properties that you don't own by talking to people.
Yeah, so just to clarify on the wholesaling, so essentially the person would go out, look for deals, and find find something that really makes sense, like maybe underpriced property. There may be some underlying issues, maybe foundation has an issue, maybe roof has an issue, maybe mold, maybe it could be anything, right? So the person would find the deal. Somebody else just doesn't have a time or effort or desire to deal with the property. They wanna let it go. They're willing to sell it at a discount. So the person would sign the contract and then come to you. Is that correct?
Yes.
So the person would sign a contract and then assign that contract to the real estate investor, in this case, Luis. And then Luis will be really the buyer. The wholesaler will be just kind of intermediary who gets his commission.
Yeah, a wholesaler pretty much brings a deal to an investor. So you just invest a lot of your time. Obviously, there's a contract in between. And then you bring the deal to me and boom, you make $10,000, $15,000. That's your commission. And then you do it all over again and all over again. And there are a lot of people that are very successful doing wholesaling. Like they don't want to be a landlord. They don't want to deal with tenants and toilets. All they want to do is bring deals to other investors. And you don't need money for that. You just need time.
Yeah, time, and also be kind of open-minded, because not that many people who want to sell property at a discount. So what happens is that there are quite a few people who start in wholesaling, and then they quickly realize there's a lot of rejection. You call somebody and they tell you, oh, you want to steal my property, or so that happens. People need to be ready to the fact that not that many people will be selling property at a discount. But if you're willing to make a lot of phone calls, there will be definitely somebody out there who is willing to let the property go. Maybe they just inherited it and they don't want to deal with it. They may be out of state person. There are many reasons why people want to let property go, and they're not really interested in getting the most money out of it.
Yeah, that's true. It's not easy. Like I said, it does take a lot of time, a lot of energy. You have to kiss a lot of frogs, but you will find them. I find them that way. I'm not a wholesaler. I look for deals for me to buy, and you have to look at deals at houses that are in really bad shape. Sometimes there's like a death in the family, and they just want to get rid of the house. Foundation issues, and people don't have money to repair it. Like so many things. But they're out there. They're out there.
Yeah, I'm working with a client who bought property for $10,000, and that property was in a pretty bad shape. It's in the South Jersey. He bought property for $10,000. He invested I think 70 to fix it, but the value of the property is so much higher. Then he's essentially, whatever he invested into that property, he's gonna get back and then some. Wow. And then he will rent it out, and then he will start whoever he rented it to will start building equity. In fact, I already know for a fact he already rented it out. So he's
Nice.
he's just in the process of getting his cash out refinance. But he bought a property. It was in a pretty rough shape. There was somebody who was hoarding stuff and really not maintaining the property. So he had to spend money on that property to fix it. But in the end, he's getting all his money back.
That's an example of somebody getting a really good deal. Recently I saw a property. I'm still working on it. It was a hoarder house. I put it on my Instagram. Oh my God, it was one of the worst hoarder houses I've seen in my life. Like you can barely walk through that house. The smell was so bad. I offered to buy it for $40,000. House is worth about $250,000 to $275,000, according to my real estate agent.
So after repairs, correct?
After repair, of course, after repairs. I would say it needs about $100,000 to $110,000. See, a house like that, if anybody out there had found it, brought it to me, even if you gave it to me for 50, 60,000, of course I would have bought it. Because I'm like 60,000 plus 110, 170 is worth 250. Yes, I'm gonna buy it. Boom, you just made $20,000. See, so they're out there. They're definitely out there. It's just, it takes a lot of time, a lot of phone calls, and a lot of people saying no. But for every 20 no's you get, you'll get a yes. So it's pretty much how it works.
Okay, so Luis, I think just tell the audience how they can find you if they have questions, and we really appreciate the time you spent here. It's a lot of interesting information, a lot of useful information for somebody who want to get into real estate, especially in today's market. So tell people how they can find you, and any last word, if you have any last recommendation for people who just starting in real estate, they're not sure if they have enough money. I know you touched on a lot of different topics, how people can get into it, but if you have any last recommendations, please pitch in.
Sure. Well, people can find me. So I recently started doing YouTube real estate about 7 months ago. So it's my first name and my last name. That's my YouTube channel, and my Instagram is at the Luis Q. And I pretty much use that to upload videos of real estate, things I do, projects I'm doing, so everybody can learn. So what I'm gonna tell people is again, don't do it just because you think you're going to become a millionaire like next year, because you're not. It's really difficult. I started when pretty much the prices were rock bottom. Now, like I was telling you guys, there's going to be an opportunity coming up the end of this year, beginning of next. So what I would tell people is try to save as much money as you can so you can take advantage of opportunities that are going to come. Work on getting your credit score as high as possible. And right now, network. Join a real estate investment group where you're going to meet people like me. You're going to meet people like Ariel. You're going to meet like-minded people that are into real estate, entrepreneurs. You're going to meet brokers. You're going to meet agents. You're going to meet insurance people. You're going to meet you can meet your entire team by going to real estate investment groups. So do that, read books, go on YouTube, listen to podcasts, listen to shows like this where you can learn as much as you can, absorb that information, and then put it to use as soon as you can. Once, not as soon as you can, but once you feel comfortable and once the opportunities come up, which I'm telling you guys, it's going to be probably the end of next year, the end of this year. And you can feel free to reach out to me with any questions on Instagram, and I will help out, as much as I can.
Okay, great. Well, Luis, we very appreciate your time. Thank you for coming by. And this was very informative. A lot of golden nuggets from somebody who has done a lot of work in real estate. So thank you. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
That was good.